Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
Oh.
We're streaming to you live from the Blue Peter Garden.
I've actually been in the Blue Peter Garden.
I have not been in the Blue Peter Garden. I've only really heard about it, but I guess,
Yes. No, there's
Hello.
there's a canteen in the BBC that overlooks the Blue Peter Garden. And one night we were very, very drunk. And we went, do you reckon we can get in there? And if you climbed over a very high wall, you could.
You notice how no great story ever starts with, so we had a cup of tea and a salad.
I know, right?
Yeah.
No, we had beer and pies.
Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome. It's look, in-person Rendle. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look,
I like how much more obvious it is that you two are in the same place than it is when they and I are in the same place.
Yes.
Well, we are in quite a conspicuous place because this is my garden in southeast London where I grow my tomatoes.
Yeah.
And if Eli wasn't, hang on, I'm just going to remove Eli from the stage ever so temporarily, and that's the crop.
Hey, tomatoes.
There we go. So
you can have you have your option of fruits to display in the middle.
Yes, they are just like with the little ones are coming up and they're green and they're starting to. It's a little bit sort of tomato roulette this year because we the seeds from last year. So there's a bunch of tomatoes that weren't planted; they just decided to grow by themselves, like that one over there.
Volunteers,
is not there on purpose. And the actual seeds are a sort of bit of a mishmash of the seeds that were saved from last year's tomatoes, and So, but any day now.
What do you do? Just shit in the pot?
No.
That would work.
The birds do that.
Isn't there a thing about tomatoes like growing at the mouths of sewers?
There is. This was on one of my school exam papers. It was like, why do tomato plants grow near sewage treatment works? And like, there's an obvious answer, but I don't know whether it's an actual like witnessed phenomenon or whether. Because you know when you're like sort of 15 years old and you're sitting your GCSEs and you're thinking, I bet the people who set these exams are like undisputed experts who know everything about everything, and absolutely no way would anyone ever just make up random shit that seemed plausible and put it in an exam.
Yes.
And then you get older and you meet some grown-ups who work in education and you're like, it's a miracle there were even vowels involved.
Yes.
And yes. So no, but the Scary Duck back in the glory days of blogging before Web 2.0, where it was Web 1.0, which meant if you wanted to write things on the internet, you had to get a server and write an actual blog.
I remember that.
Ran a series of experiments where they ate a lot of tomatoes and then pooed in a hole to see if it would grow tomatoes.
They wrote it down, which makes it science.
Fantastic. Because I mean, that's like evolutionarily speaking, that's how seeds are supposed to work, isn't it? They get eaten by animals.
And the wonderful thing is hot peppers and like, capsaicin and Scotch bonnets and things, which are plants going, don't eat me or you will regret it. And human beings going, snack.
Yes.
And the plants going, are you serious? Like literally, I kill lizards for sport. And the humans going, yeah, a bit more of that on my wings, please.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes. I learned an interesting thing the other day. You know pomegranates?
Yes.
You know the little things inside.
Now, when I say yes because I'm not going to admit in public I don't actually know what a pomegranate is. I know what pomegranate seeds are because they're little rubies, don't they?
Yeah, they're little rubies.
I don't know what they look like when they're not seeded.
Every single.
It's round, if you can believe it. It's a round fruit.
The thing that you get, you buy like one of in the produce section in the supermarket is not actually a fruit. It's a pod. It's like peas. The peas themselves are the individual vegetables. And so those little rubies that are on the inside of the pouch, those are, every single one of those individually is a fruit.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
That's quite neat.
I love YouTube shorts. They're so informative if you engage with the ones that actually teach you stuff and just past.
I was in the supermarket yesterday and I discovered that Sainsbury's now sells something called a flat peach, which is just a peach only it's flat.
Oblate.
It's been in, and I'm like, is that like, did they do this on purpose or did somebody engineer it because it uses the packing more efficiently? Or just like were people rejecting the flat peaches for years?
That sounds like that farmer who in
square tomatoes.
A joke.
Yeah,
I think it was square chickens actually. So, but yes,
yeah.
So yes, I have been ritually humiliated.
I wouldn't say there was any element of ritual.
Well, no, I just but so I've come up. So, because I've been spending a lot of time up at Eli's recently, although soon I will actually have my own place up there. But yeah, there's something very nice about just being in a room and getting on with your own work. When toddlers first go to kind of like play groups and things, they don't actually play with each other. They just play alongside each other. And so, yes, parallel play, or as it's called in the sort of neurodivergent community, doubling.
Okay.
And so I thought, since I was down this way and home is an interesting place at the moment, that
interesting concept right now.
Do a bit of doubling with Dylan, and it's and then while I was at it, I thought I'll take my bass because the bridge pickup's not working.
Yes.
And so
let me tell the story
tell the
from the beginning. Because the story starts with Rendle going, I've got to take my bass to Denmark because even though we're not going to do a gig, Hannes will be in Denmark and Hannes can fix guitars and my guitar doesn't work because the bridge pickup on it doesn't work.
Yep.
And I was sort of like, you don't need to take your bass all the way to Denmark for Hannes to look at it. Just bring it over and I'll have a look because I do things with guitars. And I noticed Surly said in the chat, how's the charity shop guitar? The charity shop guitar went back on the wall after I finished doing a stream on Saturday, Surly, and I've been too busy to pick it up ever since, but I'm sure it's fine. So, yeah.
No worse than it was.
It's definitely better than it was.
Good.
So anyway, yes. So Rendle comes over with the bass, and there's a sort of an assumption that various diagnostic procedures will already have been undertaken. And so I'm like, right, let's assume that, like, if there's a sort of how broken is the thing on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm assuming we're starting at about a 3. Like there's probably a loose wire or some such thing. So we get the thing up into my little office / workshop / studio / whatever the hell it is, and get it on the bench and take the back off. And I'm like, all right, this all looks fine. It's quite complicated. It's an active thing with a 3-channel EQ and circuitry. So I'm looking through and I'm like, I don't actually see a problem in here, but some of these controls are a little bit weird, and that one's going to there and that one's going to there. And so there's a useful diagnostic technique, because the art of diagnosing any complicated system is to work out which half of the system the problem is in, and then ignore the other half, and now you have a system that is half the size of the previous system with a problem in it. So you work out which half of that system the problem's in, and you keep, and it's like a, so it's like, right, we're going to take a guitar lead, and we're going to build a little probe by getting a jack plug and just putting loose wires on the sleeve and the tip. And then you can touch that to various bits of the circuitry and see, like, okay, does the pickup work if you just go straight from the pickup into the amp without going through any of the other bits? And in the course of doing this, we ascertained that both of the pickups actually run to the same knob. And at which point I'm like, well, that is not what should be going on here based on information supplied up to this point. And it turns out there's absolutely nothing wrong other than, should we call it a documentation problem?
Yes.
Yeah. The bass is fine. Nothing wrong with the pickup, but the knob that was assumed or was documented to be a volume knob is not a volume knob. It's a blend knob. So when you turn it backwards and forwards. So the bass is absolutely fine.
Yeah, which is good news.
It did occur to me moments later that it would have been quite funny to let you take it all the way to just me be like, I don't know what's wrong with this, and you take it to Copenhagen on an aeroplane, so that Hannes can be like, you're holding it wrong.
Yes, I mean, you will never again make the mistake of assuming that I have done sufficient diagnostics.
But there's just that possibility that Hannes would have done the same thing I did and been like, I don't know what's wrong. I can't fix this.
Yes.
And like at some point, 6 months of taking it to see people, eventually you take it into a shop and they're like, that's a blend knob, mate.
Yeah. And actually, as you were sitting there explaining that, I was thinking about it, and I actually remember as I was turning the knobs, so the 3 tone knobs for the active EQ, and what I now understand to be a blend knob, all have a kind of notch in the middle.
Yes.
To say this is halfway, this isn't turned up or scooped or whatever. And so obviously, but the volume knob doesn't, because it doesn't make any sense to set the volume to precisely half.
Yes.
But it does make perfect sense to set the blend to precisely half. So yes, I am you know that Winnie the Pooh story where Rabbit tries to lose Tigger in the woods and
I don't
comes
know that
back,
one.
and he's a very humble rabbit and thing. And so, yes, I am a very humble Rendle.
So yeah, it's been a fun.
I can
week
hear
for
myself
Bizarro,
delay
actually.
for you guys.
Yes,
Yeah, that'll
probably.
happen.
So, how's your day going?
Me, I've had the day off work. I've done nothing. I've been asleep mostly.
Ooh.
I've had like a weird week because a lot of people that I love are like going through it right now, and it's all sort of lots of situations that I can't do anything about, which sucks. But you know, we move.
Yes, I
And
actually was one of those people on Monday.
yeah, well, no,
funny
it didn't last very long, right?
No, it didn't. That was a
Yeah.
very weird thing, wasn't it?
I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I think
Monday or Tuesday, might have been Tuesday actually, but I messaged.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it was Tuesday, and I messaged you about something that was terrible in my life, and you replied back with something that was terrible in your life, and then both of them kind of got at least
resolved within like
resolved.
5 minutes.
And it was within 5 minutes, and it was just like a problem shared is a problem mystically solved in 5 minutes. It's just so
we got rewarded for doing good friendship.
We have magic.
Yeah. And like I'm thinking about documentation. My current initiative at work is taking a look at the documentation of our product because there's work that could be done, and it's spiraling out of control somewhat because we're getting to the point where we're talking about, well, the documentation is part of the product and then we need to define the product, and we don't really have governance in place that makes that easy. And I've opened several cans of worms of differing levels of sort of philosophical hardness, basically, at work.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit scared of the avalanche that's now I can see coming towards me. And both my manager and his manager are away at the moment. So, yeah.
Is your great grand manager there though?
Yes, Ben Goldacre.
Yes. So
Yeah.
So that's also fun.
Oh look,
Yes.
there's a bee. Hello, bee.
Hello, B.
Yeah, there's wildlife. Yeah.
Yes.
I've
nice
had
I'm
a
not
phrase
there for
stuck
it.
in my head.
Assume
There
that
was
my
a
hair is
lovely
fine.
article in the Guardian last week about a new species of stick insect which has been discovered in Australia, and they sort of
Is
saying
it poisonous?
well, no, it's quite big. I mean, it's like 40 centimeters long, and they're saying the big problem with a stick insect is, one, it looks like a stick, and two, if it is disturbed or threatened, its default response is to lie really still.
Yes.
So basically, you could be surrounded by these things all the time, and you'd have absolutely no idea. But we discovered that someone uploaded a photo of it to a website that was like, I think I found an insect, and the experts are like, that is an insect, and it's not an insect we know about, so we better go. And of course, then they're out in the Australian, the outback in the bush, trying to find a stick insect in a place which is full of sticks. And they do eventually find one. And there's this article about it. But one of the people said, it's so difficult trying to raise awareness for animals like these because so much fundraising concentrates on the large charismatic animals.
Yes.
And I love that phrase, the large charismatic animals. And like, I'm just looking at all the animals around going, are you large and charismatic? And that bee that just came across was quite charismatic, but was not large because it was just a regular sized bee. So
I'm going to put that in my bio, large and charismatic.
Yeah.
Dennis Leary had that wonderful bit. And this was like 30 years ago, so I think it's okay to regurgitate it now, about having all the animals kind of queued up, and you're there with a clipboard going, what are you? I'm an otter. And what do you do? I swim around on my back and do cute little otter things with my hands. You're free to go. What are you? I'm a cow. Get on the truck. I'm an animal. I have rights. You're a baseball glove.
Yeah, Leary had some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
The one of his that always stands out for me was, when did flavored coffee become a special order?
Oh God, yes.
Going into a place with two kinds of coffee, and one is decaf and the other one has no label, and the flavor of the month, maple nut crunch. And it's sort of, I'm glad that we've sort of come full circle away from the whole coffee has lots of things in it, back to you can get coffee that's just really good coffee.
And there's no dog anuses.
So let's talk about documentation for a second.
Oh,
because I encountered something. There is a very particular kind of prose that one gets, which is when documentation has been written by somebody who did not understand the thing they were documenting. And Joel Spolsky had a kind of very, very influential, certainly to me, thing he wrote about this many years ago, where he said, it's been written when somebody is told, hey, you need to write up what the enable max clock overdrive switch does. And you look at the
enables the max
manual,
clock override.
and it says enable max clock override switch. This switch enables or disables the max clock override feature. If set to enable, then max clock override is enabled. And you're reading it going, you don't know what max clock override is or why anybody would do it or not. And in doing the research that I am doing at the moment in the course that I'm writing, I've been kind of going as close as I can to the primary sources and all the bits of CSS. And I'm pretty sure that the person who wrote the documentation for the isolation CSS feature on the Mozilla Developer Network site did not know what isolation was for or have any idea how to demonstrate it. And this is sort of so much of, if MDN is wrong, then 90% of the people who write CSS blog posts are just gonna, like, if MDN has a good example, they're gonna pick that up and they're gonna play with it a little bit and be like, I see what it does, and then they're gonna come up with their own spin on that, and then they're gonna write a post on Dev2 or Smashing Magazine. It's like, this is what this does. And you're like, that's really neat and that's cool, and here's how you can use it. And like, CSS isolation is basically dead. Like, because the definitive reference source on it doesn't actually tell you what it does, which means none of the bloggers who've written about it understand what it's really for, which means ChatGPT and all the language models also have no idea what it's for. I in desperation asked ChatGPT, hey, write me a page that shows this actually changing something. And it generated 5 different examples of nothing changing whatsoever, while absolutely insisting that, hey, this will show you clearly. And you're like, no, that doesn't show anything.
Yeah.
And so you have to go back and read the spec. And I'm reading through the spec, and I'm like, this is nothing to do with what any of the people think it's doing. This is to do with Z indexes and stacking. And so I sat and I came up with what I thought is actually quite a useful demo of how it works. But, it's this thing of the person writing the docs has not been able to get the thing to do what they want to write about, or they haven't tried, or they just couldn't make it work. But they can't just be like, this feature is undocumentable because I don't know what it does. Because, and of course, then the thing is, I should contribute a pull request for this because MDN is open source, and I need to install a tool chain. I'm like, no, the internet can remain ignorant, or they can buy my Dome Train course when it comes out, and they can learn what CSS isolation is actually for. But
it sounds. Did you ever use
exclusive to your Dome Train course?
That's a selling point.
I put it up on Blue Sky now. There's a little animation that I think a lot of people have looked at and gone, ah. So yeah.
Did you ever use the Ghost Doc extension in Visual Studio?
No, but I've nearly fired several people for using it.
Yes.
Yes.
So Ghost Doc, if you're not familiar with Ghost Doc or even Visual Studio, it's a plugin that automatically generates documentation comments. So the lines that start with a // and it is almost universally a bad idea because you have like a property, and when you have a property that is first name with a capital F and a capital N, then Ghost Doc will work that out, and it will generate documentation that says gets or sets the first name. But if you have like a 3-dimensional coordinate, which has got an X, a Y, and a Z, and someone comes along and just presses Control D on each of those, and it will just go get or sets the X, gets or sets the Y, gets or sets the Z. And then it goes off and it does this with all the method names. And so the thing is, if you've used very good long descriptive method names, then it will generate a meaningful comment for that. But at the same time, if you've used long descriptive method names, why do you need it to? If you've actually got a method that says download model from Hugging Face, you don't really need Ghost Doc to come along and comment that as downloads the model from Hugging Face. Can you tell what I'm working on? So yes,
Speaking of Hugging Face, have you seen any of Alien Earth yet? You see what?
Oh, it came out yesterday, didn't it? I did not. I was.
I watched the first one last night.
No, I was out drinking gin in Wimbledon last night.
It is excellent.
Is it good?
Yeah, the first one is really
because that's one of those ones that can go either way. Because when I think Aliens on Earth, I think AVP, and the first Alien versus Predator I actually quite enjoyed.
Yeah,
the Requiem, was it?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
How do you make a movie which has got aliens and predators in it and have it be boring?
Like if you drew a graph of like the time is here, and this is the setting, like the location of the Alien films.
Yes.
So the first one is on a deep space oil refinery ship. And then the second one is on a terraformed colony. The third one is on a prison moon.
Yes.
Fourth one is on a galactic research science base.
Yes.
Fifth one is in a pyramid in Antarctica. Sixth one is in like a high school in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And you're like, did you not have any money for like, when you like, we'll just film it there,
They
John?
must have had money though.
But yeah,
because I mean, Alien versus Predator did really well. It was a box office success.
Yes.
And so you would have gone, right, well, let's invest at least as much money and time and effort.
So that entire franchise, what they should have done is just like everybody who came in and said, I'd like to work on Alien and Predator movies, that have been like, which Dark Horse graphic novel would you like to adapt? And if the answer wasn't immediate, they're like, sorry, get out.
Yes.
You are never allowed anywhere near this franchise ever again.
Yeah.
Because the one that I think would have been the brilliant, and you know, maybe they could go back and do this now. It was called Hunter's Planet. And the premise is that there is a group of predators on holiday on the alien homeworld, hunting for trophies, and a ship full of human mining surveyors crashes on this planet.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes. I love the idea that predators just go, oh, right, it's August. Where are we going?
Yeah.
Let's find the most dangerous planet in the known
whole,
universe.
The whole premise of the original Predator movie is that the Predator is trophy hunting in South America in the jungle.
Yes.
And there happened to be this group of very, very hard soldiers.
Heavily armed.
Who we've never really figured out what they were doing in the jungle in the first place. Just like, don't ask too many questions.
I'm assuming it was supposed to be like Nicaragua, and there was that whole Contra thing going on at the time and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
But no, the one I would like to see. So first of all, my favorite Predator movie is actually Prey, which is
good.
I still haven't seen that. And I really want to.
So good. It's like proper character development story, and also happens to be set in the 16th century in America, in North America.
Maybe I'll watch it this weekend. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
There was that one. Somebody wrote a Reddit post once. They said it was one of those like what weird overlaps are there in history? Like the fact that Nintendo overlaps the Ottoman Empire by like 30 years or something. And somebody pointed out that because of trade route, now I will get the details wrong here, but they said it is entirely possible that the Mayan Empire would have had samurai and swashbuckling pirates wandering around.
Yes.
And I'm like, that should be a Predator movie.
Yeah.
Like, you got the pyramids, you got the historical setting, you've got the double hard, heavily armed people within a range of fighting styles, so you could make the spin-off computer game.
Yeah,
that'll work well.
Weirdest D&D party ever. Yeah.
But no, what I would really like though is for Ridley Scott or somebody, James Cameron could do it as well, to just go back and retcon Alien 3 and film the version that William Gibson wrote.
That has been... There is an Amazon audiobook
yes,
of it
I have
with
it.
Michael Biehn.
And it's incredibly good.
Yeah.
And because there's this thing where, you know, at the end of the whole of Aliens is about saving this little girl and get away from her, you bitch, and all this sort of stuff.
And then they just completely undercut it.
And then Alien 3 starts, and it's like, oh no, they died in hypersleep.
It was all for nothing.
So what was the point of that?
Oh, that, I mean, you know the story.
The
Alien
Gibson
3 is
story.
like, if you look up development hell in a dictionary, see Alien 3.
Yes.
So they basically went through about 8 treatments. There was one where it was set on a wooden asteroid, which
sorry, come again.
They had a treatment for. I think it was Jean-Pierre Jeunet who went on to direct Resurrection.
Okay,
but they're like, what if there's a monastery? What if a bunch of monks have made? Because there is this weird kind of trope that has run through a lot of science fiction about how monks would be really good asteroid miners. Yeah. Because the sort of the conditions and the devotion and the no distraction and the no snacks, no booze,
it's the
no
wooden
women,
part
no
that's getting me,
entertainment, no nothing. And someone think, well, what if the asteroid is made out of wood? Because they
how would
no
wood being one of the probably more rare sort of materials in the universe,
right? That's not how wood works.
There could be a point where I guess if you mine out a chunk of asteroid and then you get wood flown up from wherever there's wood. I don't know.
But like wherever there's wood, as far as we know, is literally only Earth.
Yes.
Well, you could, right? You could get like a densely forested planet,
like the forest moon of Endor,
that had reverse termites that ate everything except wood.
Was the forest moon of Endor a moon called Endor that was a forest moon, or did the Endor system have several moons, one of which was the forest moon?
I don't know.
No, we don't know.
It's like Punch Drunk Martin.
I suspect there's two different answers between the expanded universe books and whatever they've been replaced with now that those have been blown away and are no longer canon.
Legends.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so Alien 3, there was the wooden asteroid version, there was Gibson's treatment, there was an early, one of them actually got as far as a poster, Alien 3, This Time It's Earth, which was kind of put out and then rapidly withdrawn when they realized that the movie was not going to get made.
Yeah.
And it kicked around for about probably 6 or 7 years. And controversially, like David Fincher now is hailed as a sort of genius of contemporary cinema because he did Seven and he did Fight Club and he did The Social Network.
Yes.
But the only thing he had directed before they gave him Alien 3 was one music video for Madonna. He was this sort of incredibly inexperienced director. And the thing about that movie is then Sigourney Weaver signed on and then said she would only do it if there were no guns, which was the thing that basically killed all of the treatments that involved any of the Marines surviving or any kind, which is why, okay, well, how the hell do we do this with no guns? What if they're in a prison? What if they crash in a prison where there's no weapons because it's a prison? All right, that might work.
What if they have those shoulder-carried particle accelerators from Ghostbusters and they can capture the alien in? Would she have been all right with that?
Like Luigi's Mansion.
Yes. Oh, it's so much fun.
But if you go back, I mean, I watched Alien 3 not long ago, and the cinematography on it, there are scenes, just shots in that, which are
the
stunning.
Thing where they're running down the walls of the tunnels and there's just dozens of them. Those, yes, I mean, it is properly claustrophobic and terrifying. If
it was as a sequel
story
to,
hadn't been awful.
If you went from Alien to Aliens and you expected that trajectory to continue, it's hugely disappointing.
Yeah.
But as a sort of, now that they've ripped up the canon and sort of, used it to line the cat's litter tray, it stands up, I think, as one of the stronger entries in the series.
See, now my brain's just going off into places where we work out at the end of Alien 3 that actually the alien isn't real and it's just Sigourney, it's just Ripley's alternate
personality. Well, the alien isn't real. It was invented by Mike from Neighbours. That's canon now.
Well, yes, that's true. But they could have, because David Fincher, is sort of like, oh no, it was actually Ripley all along. He killed all those people, and she's actually completely mental.
Alan Ripley is a serial killer who just murders everyone on the ship and then goes around with a vat of acid.
There's a Ripley's believe it or not joke in here as well.
Well, what are you doing? I'm gluing together bits of crab so I can pretend I've found a monster.
Oh dear.
What was the DiCaprio movie? The spoilers.
Revenant?
Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Oh, that is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That messes with your head.
That's a very, very good But
it's the unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Basically, isn't it? It's like the Holden Caulfield.
Catcher
in the Rye.
Yep.
Yes.
Which I've not read.
Yes, but that's sort of a whole unreliable narrator thing, but not in a kind of big reveal way, just in a constant, what you're seeing is his interpretation of the world, not the actual world.
Smoothly segueing from J.D. Salinger, I am trying... Salinger like ginger, not Salinger like finger.
And cloaca, apparently.
And cloaca, apparently, and not cloaca. But yeah,
the old Vic has a lot to answer for.
Welcome to pronunciation. Yes, I'm trying to find a copy, an original 1970s paperback copy of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Percy, because I want to reread it, because I think it's mainly because I want to steal its format and turn it into a conference talk, because I think there's a lot of very interesting parallels between the things he talks about with motorcycle maintenance and the idea of software maintenance.
If you want, I can give you the slides from when I did that at Orodev in 2014.
There's only 7 good ideas. We know this.
Yes. Yes.
But I want the original. Like you can buy it. Obviously, it's been reprinted and published many times. But I really want the original, like the one with the lotus flower turning into a wrench on the cover, which is kind of nice because it's given me a really good reason to go into secondhand bookshops. And so Hex on the Beach comments proper philosophy. The taxonomy of Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance is fascinating to me, because it is one of those books that was like, normally when people write philosophy books, I think they know at the beginning that the book they are writing is a philosophy book that is going to end up in the philosophy section of the bookshops and the library, because they're like, I am a philosopher and I am philosophizing. And Pirsig just kind of sat down and wrote about all of these ideas that he'd had set in the context of a motorcycle road trip. So it's a sort of semi-autobiographical meditation that then sort of, and I don't know how much of this he would have been aware of in the course of writing it, but the metaphysic of quality kind of originated with that book and is now something that philosophers study.
Yes.
And so he's like, well, I wrote like, a sort of autobiography, but it was a little bit fictional because it didn't all happen exactly like it did in the book. And I made up some of the bits about this, and there's a bit of Buddhism in it, but it's not really a textbook about Buddhism. But I accidentally discovered philosophy. And so at what point does like, how do they decide when a set of ideas are good enough that you no longer file them under fiction? Like, what's the point where I know this is significance?
Because I mean, philosophers these days talk about qualia, which is kind of from his writing. Have you read?
She was really good in that film with Demi Moore as well, right?
Yes. Oh, that's a deep cut.
I'm not very lost, chat. Help me.
I'm not explaining that one. Chat, go and Google it, see if you can figure it out. But no, he wrote a follow-up, Lyra, where he kind of leaned in much more to the, okay, I'm a philosopher. And it's a lot drier and it's a much tougher read.
Yeah.
There's a Macmillan Books published an audio version of Zen MM.
Yeah.
Read by this American guy with the most amazing voice. But because it's first person, it's kind of, you go, yeah, no, I would be all right with the sort of the narrator character having that as a voice. That's the sort of voice you would expect him to have. But it's been completely expunged from the internet. And I assume that's because they're doing a sort of shiny new version to put on Audible and make money from. They just released it as a podcast. And so I actually, somewhere in my big pile of hard drives, I'm pretty sure one of them has it on there.
So I have to go through, I have a little pile of, I'm become weirdly obsessed with trying to find a picture which I used as my desktop wallpaper about 20 years ago.
Yes.
Just because it happened to have been my desktop wallpaper at a point where I was really enjoying a bunch of stuff I was working on, and therefore I have very happy memories of it. And I think it might be on a CD-ROM that might be in the pile of CD-ROMs that might be in one of the boxes. And I do actually now have a computer which is physically large enough to take a CD-ROM drive. And I do have a DVD rewritable drive sat in a box not doing anything. Yeah.
Yes. Did you see that thing where, like years ago, somebody on Slashdot, Bill Gates had done a demo of Windows XP, and someone on Slashdot was, he hasn't even changed the default wallpaper. Why wouldn't he change it to something he likes? And somebody else just went, why do you think it's the default wallpaper? Just, yeah. The thing I love about Windows, so even with Windows 11, that's sort of the window with the light shining, that's a photograph.
I know.
It's an actual real photograph that somebody made. Which
so
is
one of my,
lovely.
I realized one of my little, I'm getting on okay with Windows 11, mostly on the new system, having, removed a lot of the weirdness and put the taskbar back in the bottom left and basically turned it into an old person's computer. But one thing I realized the other day is, like, Alt-Tab used to just show you the icon. And most apps have quite a bold, memorable icon because they use color and they use, so I know that Obsidian is purple.
Yes.
And I know that Google Chrome is red and yellow and green and blue.
And Signal is blue and Spotify is green.
And when I Alt-Tab now, like, what it gives me is little thumbnail previews, but every single app I have got is running in dark mode. And so it's like, which one of these 19 dark windows were you looking for? And I'm like, that one's got a little blue thing in the corner. Maybe it's that one. And I sort of thought that's a real step backwards, because I guess for certain kinds of people, like they've got, I don't know, 3 apps open and one of them's I don't know.
I think
it should be toggleable. It seems like something that you could very easily let the user decide what behavior they want there.
It used to be able to kick it back to the old-fashioned mode in Windows 10. Like you get that to go back to Windows 7 mode. But yeah, not anymore.
I think the problem is that applications are made by programmers, and programmers just can't imagine any application where you wouldn't want a dark mode. Yeah. Because, I still sometimes I have to jump on a call with somebody, and I look at his window, and it's Visual Studio with the default color theme, the light blue, and I'm just like, do you know how to change that? Just because the idea that someone could prefer that.
So I have a very, very definite point in my brain where it has gone too far, and that is Microsoft Word.
Yes.
Because Microsoft Word exists to put things on white paper. That is it. That is the only reason it exists. The only reason I ever fire up Word in my life is I need to make something that will be printed. And since every other app, like, VS Code, you want to print something, it's like, all right, granddad. And most apps are like, we don't do print. We'll do export to PDF if you grovel.
Yeah.
Whereas Word, you can actually put things on a page and then get that page. And I work on paper quite a lot when I'm like figuring things out and reading notes and stuff. And when you open Word and the paper is black, I'm like, no.
I keep meaning to write a plugin for Word so that, because I don't know the keyboard shortcuts to set heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So I just want to put a plugin where if you type hash and then space and then something, and it just automatically turns that. So I can use Markdown, but have it just automatically convert to.
Somebody has almost certainly done that.
I know, but
have you looked at local send, by the way? Local send.
No,
because you were working for ages on a thing that basically gave you cloudy clipboard between devices. Local send basically does it.
Does it do it through the cloud though?
No, it does LAN sync. Between it solves the problem I had that I was hoping you would finish your thing so I could use that to do it.
Yes.
Which is I could get any like image or video, whatever, on an iPhone, and I can go send this to my desktop without me having to email it to myself like an animal.
Yeah.
And it goes ping, and then it's there in my downloads folder on desktop, and it works quite well. So I don't know whether that solves the problem enough that you can go and write Word plugins instead now. But
I've got many other things. So,
your hobby projects category is definitely well populated.
Yes, but earlier on today, I was working on Swift code, trying to get something to run while an iPhone was locked and in your bag, and still communicate with a Bluetooth accessory. But at the same time I was doing that, I had given Gemini CLI a very detailed requirements document that Claude Sonnet helped me write. I stuck it in YOLO mode, and I went off, and I came back, and it's made a Chrome plugin that will, on any page that is has audio, so YouTube, but any video, any podcast, anything that's playing audio through the browser, it'll transcribe it and optionally translate it as well. Because whilst most YouTube videos that have been uploaded in the last 4 years have the automatically generated subtitles, all the ones that are older than that don't, and the ones that there are only native language. There's no translations. And so we have this back end just sitting there. And so, you can, and also you can customize the font and the placement and all that sort of thing. I wrote a 3-line prompt into Claude saying, I want a thing. And it's just, and then we've got a server that uses WebSockets, and it generated a 4-page specification with test cases and edge cases and success criteria and all this sort of thing. And then I reviewed that, and then Gemini I actually started it going, and it had done about half of it. And I thought, damn it, I didn't tell it to do it in TypeScript. And so I stopped it, cleaned out all its cache, deleted everything it had done, added please use TypeScript to the top line of the spec, and then started it off again. And it went, all you have to do is go into the extensions tab and turn on developer mode, and then open the dist folder that I've created by building as an unpacked extension, and then you can debug it. And I went, all right then, and I did. And it's just, the only thing that was wrong was the pop-up thing had the kind of basic settings, and then there was a more settings link that took you to the page, and the URL was wrong on that.
That's a question. So the way that you're using things like Claude and Copilot and stuff at the moment,
yes.
How much would they have to cost for you to go, no, this is not worthwhile?
I suspect that if they were charging me what it's costing them, that would be no. I don't think the current running costs that they have, I don't think that's a sustainable business model. I mean, Anthropic are losing money hand over fist. It's like an order of magnitude at least.
Because the whole question, because on the one level, I'm using tools like that. I will quite often see if there's like, I have a little idea for a plugin that might make the thing I am doing easier for me to do, I will be like, can it vibe code that? And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. And if it will, I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. And it takes an iron will not to go down the rabbit hole of spending the rest of the day. It's like rolling a D&D character. You're like, I'll roll the dice. Oh, look, I'll roll the dice. I'll roll the dice again. Oh, that was a good one. I'm getting closer. And no, you're not getting closer. You're just eating more and more entropy. And the temptation with the tools to think, tweak it, and you lose sight of, it's not that you are kind of refining one little area while the rest of it is staying good. Once the model has introduced something that I didn't want there, it's almost impossible to get it to not keep doing that. And so I'm remember, you know what, this is worth one roll of the dice. And if the dice roll gives me something I can build on, then sweet. And if the dice roll gives me something useless, then all right, I'm not going to do that.
But no, I honestly, I think the inflection point is if you walk into an Apple store today and you order a maxed out MacBook Pro, that will have an M4 Max chip in it, and it will have 128 gigabytes of RAM. And that is enough to run quite a lot of LLM. If you max out a Mac Studio, you actually end up with the M3 Ultra, because there isn't an M4 Ultra, but it's got half a terabyte of RAM. That will run DeepSeek.
That's unconscionable. I can't conceive of that. Half a terabyte of RAM.
And then you think
that just in my house.
Framework desktop.
£10,000 worth of hardware.
The Studio, that's I mean, you want to bang like 8 terabytes of SSD in it as well. I think it comes out to 14,000.
Okay,
but you think what you got in a MacBook Pro, or what you got in a MacBook Pro 3 years ago, is probably what you get in a MacBook Air today. And so in 3 years' time, the MacBook Air will come with like 256 gigs of RAM and everything else, and it'll be down to the sub-nanometer architecture. And at that point, you will just download, because we've hit the point of diminishing returns with the number of parameters and things. So, DeepSeek is, 370 billion? And they say that GPT-5 is probably more than 2 trillion parameters, but not all of them are active at the same time. And so if they can sort of load the bits that they need into the GPU from a very, very fast solid state storage and do swapping and stuff, we will get to a point where you can run GPT-5 on your MacBook.
And so, I mean, very, very, scientifically rigorous calculation, if Moore's law holds true, we can assume that computing power will halve in cost every 18 months. So 15,000 today, 7,500. So 3 years from now, we're talking, 3,000.
We're talking like what most developers spend on a MacBook Pro today.
So 5-6 years from now, that level of power will cost about the same as a sort of top tier iPhone does today. So 5 years, you'll be able to run a trillion parameter model on something that costs the same as an iPhone.
And goes in your backpack.
Yeah.
And at that point, this vibe coding thing and whatever, then it's viable.
I mean, I gotta say, my opinion on vibe coding is very much down to you build it, you run it, do not fucking try to sell it to me.
Oh, yeah.
I am not going to pay you money for something that an AI built you to sell me when I can use my own AI to build the same thing you built. Because if you have built something that anybody, it's like selling boiling water to British people. We have tools to make our own boiling water. Yeah. We're not going to do that. I don't care how vibey yours is.
Yes.
And I think that's great in terms of, empowering. There's a site I saw this week, Mad Lad Studios, I think it's called. Their 2-year-old is coming up with game ideas, and they are putting the prompt into AI tools, which are generating games. Make a red car game, and it makes a red car game, and the kid's like, I'm playing my game.
Yes.
And I'm like, reality is going to hit you like a fucking asteroid, kid. It really is.
Yes, it is.
It's not how this works. But
although actually, as he grows, reality will probably just about keep up with him.
There will be a point. There will be a cutoff.
But yes, no, it's a very weird marketing tactic when you see these idiots on X, and it is always on X. It's never on Blue Sky going, oh, I vibe coded a SaaS product in my sleep, and I've launched it this morning, and it's $14.99 a month. And then sort of like a week later, they're either going, why is nobody signing up to my SaaS product that I worked so very, very hard on? Or, oh no, SQL injection attacks, and it deleted my database and everything else that happens with these things.
Grab my water. I'll be right back.
So yes. Because I have not yet had anything. I haven't used it to build front-end stuff. I suspect the reason it's done quite well on this Chrome extension is that it's JavaScript and HTML and CSS. And there's not only like at least 50% of all the code on GitHub, and probably more like 75% of the code on GitHub is JavaScript and HTML and CSS. But also, you can minify your JavaScript, but I'm pretty sure an LLM can read that JavaScript.
Kinda.
And so it can go, it can like generate the abstract syntax tree using Python and understand what it's doing.
Yeah.
And so it's got literally the entire internet. So when people go, oh, I've built a front end thing, then you're like, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, very little, most front-end developers, and don't send me hate mail because this is true and you just don't want to admit it. Most front-end developers spend very little time making creative decisions.
Yes.
They spend most of their time solving problems that have already been solved 1,000 times over.
Yes.
It's just that we've never got to the degree of code reuse, which, the sort of the dream of web components since the web was invented was, all right, we got a button and we got an input, and we've got, can we have a date picker? No, we don't have one. We better build one. Okay, now we got a date picker. And, the idea of being able to have a web page where you're just like, login form, boom. And that's just a thing that browsers do that you can then apply your CSS and now the login form. And there are frameworks and components that get there, but it's still, you look at the number of times that somebody has plugged a shopping cart system into Stripe, for example.
Yeah.
And there's no creative decision making in that, apart from, do you have 2 decimal places of that in case you ever go to Cameroon, yes or no? Kind of it, I mean,
thinking about you mentioned Joel Spolsky earlier. He had it was a few years ago now, the block protocol as an idea of sort of like web components next gen components. And I was vaguely keeping an eye on that for a while to see if it went anywhere, and to my knowledge it kind of hasn't.
Duplo for the web.
It's a sort of collective action problem, I think, in that, nobody can own it, and nobody can sort of, and it's something,
So one of the things I really like is, payments is definitely a solved problem. Stripe solved it.
It's not, though, but it's so spectacularly unsolved.
But so because Stripe have that thing where sometimes I'm on a website and I go pay, and the completely unadorned, unstyled, someone's just gone, leave it as the default. And it goes, I sent you a text message. Type the 4-digit number in. And everything will just magically happen. And you're kind of like, well, why doesn't everyone just use that then?
So what I think Stripe has absolutely optimized the I want to pay using a Visa or MasterCard with a merchant account and a merchant of record with a card number that I entered earlier and asked them to look after it for me. I think Stripe have solved that brilliantly, and I've integrated stuff with Stripe many times, and it's always been very, very smooth. I don't think we're remotely close to, for me, payment is solved when I click a link on, The Verge or the New York Times, and it's like, do you want to pay like half a cent to read this? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, the microtransaction.
And I just pay half a cent, and I don't need to go to another website. I don't need a text message. I don't need anything. The individual transactions are sufficiently low value that, and it's like, well, hang on, you spent half a cent already this minute.
I mean, tragically, the best attempt, and best obviously is a relative term, that anybody has made at that so far is the Brave browser and the attention tokens.
Yeah.
And it was like,
no.
It was a good idea right up until the point you decided to have your own meme coin attached to it as the currency for it.
But I mean, Brave, it was an interesting idea, and I ran Brave as my main browser for a year because I thought, let's support this and see where it goes. But you don't want to buy and sell tokens. You want to buy and sell dollars and cents and pounds and euros. We have currency that human beings understand.
Yes.
And why can the
Romans had solved that.
The Cloudflare problem, or the Cloudflare proposal about 402 payment required, I think is I've said this before, shows signs of taking something that everyone assumed was completely moribund and at least making it twitch a little bit and cough and go like the dead guy on the bed in Seven who's not actually dead. And just maybe other people will be like, hang on, that gives me an idea.
Yeah.
But Renee has put in the comment that he's disappointed Dylan is not drinking from the garden hose. No, I'm not drinking from the hose. Not for the bit. No.
We're going to go drink in a little while, though.
From the pub.
We're going to go to Pub Standards in London Bridge.
Yes, if anyone's in London, Pub Standards is so Pub Standards used to be. Do you know about Pub Standards?
No, I do now because you mentioned it and I went and looked.
It used to be once a month. There was a meetup, and it was always at the Bricklayers Arms in Fitzrovia, and it was pub Standards, and it was a monthly meetup for London people who did web stuff, running like 20 years ago, back when web stuff was good, and just knowing how to do HTML could get you a good job in Soho. He says, having got a good job in Soho for knowing HTML.
Yeah.
And I met Christian Heilman the first time at a Pub Standards meetup. Tom Scott used to come along back before he became a YouTube megastar. A whole bunch of people, the folks who founded the London Hackspace, and now they run EMF, Russ and John T would be along every once in a while. And then it kind of fell by the wayside. And then they decided to get it up and running again. And it's at the Miller in London Bridge every month. And there's one tonight. And they used to do the alternate weeks would be substandards. And the rule is Pub Standards is always at the same place, and Substandards is never allowed to be at the same pub twice. And they would have to come up with just random reasons why they were going to do it. So someone would be like, everyone, like if it was your birthday, you could get them to do Substandards at your local. It was good fun. And it's really what Jonty's done with the website for it is every meetup gets flagged as an issue on GitHub.
Yes.
And if you like the issue on GitHub, it shows you as attending. And if you put eyes on it, it shows you as interested. And then the website updates based on that, which is just such a lovely way of being, I don't want to write an app or any kind of system for this.
That is literally just a GitHub action.
Yeah, it is.
Based on, I mean,
that's charming, actually. Yeah.
Which is currently offline because the Raspberry Pi got unplugged. But Fretbadger had a thing, a feedback thing, which just it had to call an Azure function because the alternative was putting the authentication token for GitHub in the JavaScript, which would have been bad. But yes, it sort of like called an Azure function. Actually, no, it called an Azure function, which then opened a GitHub issue. with it. And you get comment systems that are driven by GitHub issues and all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
on things these days.
Yeah.
And yes.
And now
course.
GitHub is no longer independent to the extent that it was before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
So I
We can
initially
talk about it next week. We don't once maybe new things happen. I don't know.
I'm chill about it. Having when the announcement came out that the CEO of GitHub is resigning, and GitHub will now be part of Microsoft's AI division. I was like, yeah, but then I realized that almost every tool I use on a daily basis has been part of Microsoft's AI division for years anyway. So
I was shocked. One of the stories I read about it was like DevDiv is now part of AI, and you're like, no,
yeah.
But it's Microsoft's number one product these days is Copilot. You got Copilot for Office and Copilot for.
Is that just because they call everything Copilot though?
Yeah.
But
it's like 30 years later, Melinda Gates' dream of Microsoft Bob has finally happened, except he's not called Bob, he's called Copilot.
He should be Bob.
They should. I mean, you can actually put a prompt into, like the sort of default prompt and you can put a thing in and tell it your name is. Gemini is called Steve on my laptop because if I need a character name, my male characters are called Steve and my female characters are called Susan. And if I have like two male characters, it's Steve and other Steve.
So one of the things that Claire and I do is that all the neighborhood cats have names, so we know which cats you're referring to.
Yeah.
And there are now two cats between here and her place, which is about 5 minutes away, who are both called Steve.
It's for some reason name. It's a brilliant default name.
But they're not all called Steve. Like some of them have just completely. There's a little black one who we called Victor. I can't remember why. There's Corporal Arthur Splendid, who had a sort of and Apricot Surprise, and it's not like just you go through a big list of names like Steve and Gary.
Yes.
I'd never call a cat Gary. That would be too cruel. But
but
there are two Steves.
Bob from Accounts.
Steve Gingerbits and Real Steve. Yes.
Yes.
Real Steve is called Steve Davis because he's ginger. So we named him after the snooker player. But then other Steve is a tuxedo cat. And I was like, well, obvious. And Claire's like, no, snooker players tuxedos. I'm like, yeah, I haven't thought this through, have I?
We had a little ginger cat and a slightly bigger black and white cat that would visit our house in Cambridge. And so that was Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. They didn't get along, and Fred was an asshole. But we befriended Ginger, and I still think about that cat.
We've just stumbled across a cinematographic problem with podcasting from outside, and that the afternoon sun is now going over my head and onto the white brick wall behind me.
Yes,
and I am silhouetted in glorious darkness. But it is 1 hour.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think just for Renee's benefit, I should have a little drink from the garden hose, and then we should wrap this up and go to the pub.
That seems
entirely what you'd expect,
like an idea. Yes.
Yeah, we've got the sun has just come out. It's not going to.
Renee, you are a bad influence.
But,
okay.
This is what we had to do for hydration as millennial children.
Like and subscribe.
I can't believe you're doing that. Oh my god.
Tastes like warm rubber.
Yeah. There's a reason for that.
When you die of Lyme disease, can I have, I don't know, your hat?
Yes. Dylan is now watering the rhubarb.
This is chard.
That sounds like a euphemism.
He's watering the chard.
I'm not.
But no, he's not good to know. There you go. But we tried. That's the important thing. The bees come back though. That's nice. Hello, bee.
That just went straight and kind of bounced off the roof of my mouth and up into my nose. It was a really traumatic experience. So sorry.
I think you need to go and take some proper care of yourself after this and decompress and go and drink something that's not water about it.
So the garden hose has been one. It is a new hose that I bought, and I know exactly where it has been since it came out of its packaging. And two, it has been used every day to water the garden. So it's not like I just picked up like a manky hose and
Yes.
So yeah. Look, all of the bloody hose drinking experts in the chat now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that only makes it a tiny bit better.
The worst thing about the hose was if you've ever hit a hose pipe Like if you're riding your BMX around the garden and you hit the hose like orthogonally, like straight across it. But if you hit it at a shallow angle, what will happen is the bike wheel will go, and it will go along the hose. And it was like years of doing that as a kid is the reason why when I was riding one of those rental scooters drunk through Krakow in the rain and I hit a tram line, I knew exactly what to do about it and I didn't die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you see that a lot in Amsterdam.
Yes.
The people on the hired bikes going, I shall just ride across the tram line at a 1 degree angle and get my front wheel in it and go straight over the handlebars. So, yes.
Or very occasionally get both wheels in the tram line so they can move, but they can't steer.
Yes.
And then the tram comes along.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in, gang. We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, this has been a weird one. This has been a very, very weird one.
You folks have a good week out there. Take it easy. Look after each other. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.